not being tolerant, not being able to tolerate the vast view, the shunyata. Tolerate, not being able to conceive, not being able to digest. And then the other reason why Mahayana cannot be accepted easily is lack of Kalayana Mitra, meaning lack of virtuous friend. In other words, this is a big one. Getting influence from friends or company that either is so dualistic, like right, wrong, bad, good, or company that again does not tolerate the non-duality. This is actually the description of the Mahayana teacher also. Most important qualification of the Mahayana teacher. Okay, if you are looking for a Mahayana master, what should you really look for? Of course, compassion, discipline, well-versed, education, easy access, language, all that's important. But the most important is how much is this Mahayana teacher really appreciates, how much of this Mahayana is so well equipped and wealthy of the wealth of non-duality. If you happen to meet a master, a Mahayana master, who will evaluate or who will judge you based on like how generous you are, how patient or not, how disciplined or not, how diligent you are or not, how even how mindful you are or not. But if the master is not really worrying so much about the wisdom, then this master is not really a Mahayana master. If this Mahayana master is not really valuing the core essential teachings of the Mahayana. That's important information actually, but of course difficult to also how should I say, judge whether somebody really is wealthy with a wealth of non-duality. This is actually in many sutras. Buddha have said that in the future, during the degenerated times, a person who expounds words of the Shunyata, who gives you the teachings on Buddha nature, Tathagata Karma, or Shunyata, they should be venerated equally to how you would venerate a Buddha, that they are so precious. This is actually, this is a Buddha's his own statement. So, I guess the virtuous friend, when we talk about a virtuous friend, we are really talking about how much this person, your virtuous friend or virtuous master, will take you to the world of non-duality. And then, this is an interesting one. Merit. Merit is such an important thing. Merit and a karmic debt are kind of similar. Karmic debt is a little bit of negative, derogatory sort of language. Merit is more like, I don't know, better word, so to speak. For example, I don't have a merit. When I decided to teach Mahayana Sutra, I realized almost 30 years has gone. I've never opened this book. And, as in the case of a lot of subjects like this, me as teaching this, I had to always study much more. I had to read this before I came here. And it was so boring. It's very tough, not that easy. So no merit, no joy. But, like Murakami. Do you know Murakami? Yes. Murakami, I read, 20 pages, 30 pages. I even go to the toilet like that. 50 pages. Of course, somebody is still making a sandwich. Somebody is still waiting for a lost cat or something like that. Nothing much actually. But because I have a karmic debt with Mr. Murakami, so I have to read all these strange books. Some of his books are like as thick as this. And most of them are crazy, like people talking to cats and dogs and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's very strange. But being karmically in debt with him. So, this point is basically lack of merit. Also, sort of put us into this situation of not being able to, conceive the Mahayana teachings. Therefore, Maitreya in this stanza says, be mindful, be cautious, and try to appreciate the profound meaning of this Mahayana teachings. Because if you analyze and if you put some attention to this, if you put some energy in contemplating the words of the Mahayana teachings, there's not a single word in the Mahayana teachings that will not inspire you, encourage you, and amaze you. So, generate this enthusiasm, generate this wish to enter in this infinite journey, vast and infinite path of the Mahayana, the journey of Mahayana. For that, we need to transcend. Okay. Surul Tongwa. This is the Tibetan. Surul Tongwa. Trying to translate this properly. Being happy or being content with the obvious, being content with this life, not having even a curiosity to look behind this, beyond this. We are talking about ordinary beings now. What makes you not sublime? Quite important here. See, everybody, all of us, probably given the chance or wish to be sublime. Sublime, refined, stainless. How do we make ourselves sublime, refined, stainless, uncorruptible, not manipulatable, genuine? How do we do that? By not settling, or by not just being happy with the obvious, this life, what you see, what you hear, but this sort of at least aspiration to go beyond this parameter or go beyond this life, see things beyond, not just happy with what you see, how it appears, but really genuine wish to see and get in touch with what really is, for the benefit of liberating oneself from all the anxiety, and also liberating all sentient beings from all the uncertainty, anxiety, pain, and all kinds of suffering. And with this, These are. I hope this will answer some of the questions that has been raised several times today. How to apply this into our daily life. So I would say these are practical advice by Maitreya. Try to generate enthusiasm or interest or even a mere curiosity to see things as how they are, not just as how they appear. To elaborate this, okay. Usually, we look at things and see them as lasting and permanent. We see, that's how we project. And that's the opposite of. That's not truth. That's the opposite of the truth. Things are not permanent. So that's one mistake we make. That's how we sort of go astray from the truth. Then the other one is usually looking at, I think this is very personal, looking at things that are filthy and then see it as clean. I think especially we are talking about how human beings, we look at our own body, and body is basically a moment by moment decaying phenomena. Body is a phenomena that is made of components such as blood, skin, or all kinds of, if we can separate them, they're not a single part of the body can be seen as pristine, stainless, not filthy, so on and so forth. But we do have this kind of, ongoing delusion that body is clean, body is, so based on that we have just ongoing attachment to our ever decaying, ever sort of fading body, and that gradually leads us to unnecessary disappointment because the body is going to give up. That's one. That's one way. That's how we approach the world. And then when we look at things that are fundamentally either pain or the cause of the pain, but then instead of seeing them as the cause of the pain or the pain itself, we have this delusion of seeing them as bliss, seeing them as fun, happiness. And we spend all our energy and time trying to acquire this idea of bliss and happiness when it is actually, if not a suffering, obviously, definitely a suffering in making. So that's the third way of seeing things in a wrong way. And then the fourth thing, as how we see things in a mistaken way, is all the time we interact to the world, we see things, we hear things, we taste things, we value things, and then forgetting that none of them has truly, independently, and substantially, or inherently existing nature. Yet, we have continuous delusion that they have some sort of a valuable, permanent, reliable, non-deceiving entity. Then obviously, this kind of wrong view leads us to, another disappointment. So, knowing how we always get ourselves into the trouble by seeing things and interacting with the things in a mistaken way, then generate this motivation of wanting to go beyond that, step by step, in small dosage. Generate this aspiration to habituate ourselves in improving our quest for the truth, our, how should I put it, wish to understand the truth. Okay, and then the attitude of immeasurable attitude. Now, this is a very big thing of the Mahayana. This past yesterday and today, we have been really talking about sort of the Mahayana character, so to speak. Again, it's really related to the view. I will give you an example. As ordinary being, we think that it is, how should I put it, idealistic or unachievable. The practice such as enlightening all sentient beings. Understand? All sentient beings? Are you sure? Not just us? This is already quite a lot. Enlightening just my friend, one single being. Very difficult. I can maybe convince him today, but tomorrow his mood is off. So, enlightening just one single sentient being is a daunting task. Here we are talking about all sentient beings. In fact, the Mahayana Bodhisattvas such as the Kishtigarbha famously praise that he will never be enlightened until all sentient beings are enlightened. That's equal to, oh, please, I don't want to be enlightened. You understand? Because, it's going to take forever, so to speak. You understand? So, if you think in the ordinary way, all is like, oh, that's just a joke, that's just metaphorical, that's just a poetic language. How about all the Buddhists become the Buddha? That's probably more, like practical. But actually, even that is not really doable. But we are not supposed to think like this. The sort of the flavor, the strategy, the flavor, character of Mahayana is always immeasurable. View, immeasurable. Motivation, immeasurable. The vision is immeasurable. Never we think in terms of, for the sake of 5 sentient beings, I shall practice this and that. We always say, for the sake of all sentient beings. This is because Mahayana path is related, again, always, never forget this. Mahayana path is always accompanied with the wisdom. From the wisdom's point of view, if you can use the wisdom, all and one has absolutely no difference. One could easily be afraid of just one sentient being, and one could easily be, confident with all sentient beings. All, one, right, wrong, black, white. All these dualistic distinctions is what makes us weak, what makes us coward, what makes us narrow-minded. This is Singapore, so this is what do you call it? Capital of managers, leaders, and I'm sure there are a lot of management, business management, leadership training, management training. Bodhicitta, the Bodhicitta training is actually a leadership training. What should a leader have? Right? Those who have been to leadership training. What should leader have? The leader must have big vision, isn't it? You have to have this big vision of doing business with millions and millions. Then you can achieve bigger. If you have a business plan of only $10, most likely you will only succeed with $5. That's nothing much. And out of this $10, if you lose $1, big suffering. That's like a big portion of the $10. So you think very small. So you also achieve small and you suffer more. But if you have the big vision, big picture, then you develop this courage. So, Bodhisattva with this attitude of immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, immeasurable joy, immeasurable motivation, with this non-dual view, going through the Bodhisattva path, here and there some loss, here and there tigers eating parts of your body, losing some, gold, kilos of gold, family. It's not a big deal. I think this is a really, really important again. For people like you and me, we think very, very small. We think of this life only. And out of this life, for some of us, like me, more than half is gone. No one has, to live 100 years is difficult, isn't it? Now. So, it's very difficult to, So we think of this life, this small life, and try to make plan. And this should be a really good news for those who are close, getting close to dying. If you are about to be dying, let's say because you are old, because you are sick, because you have been recently diagnosed with a certain disease that will almost, you are given only like 5 months to live. As a Bodhisattva, your vision to enlighten all the sentient beings, immeasurable sentient beings. If you can generate this, you're already okay. I have only 5 months left for this one, for this life, but this life is not the only life that I'm going to have. I am going to have countless and countless and countless of lifetimes in order to benefit sentient beings. So even on this level, I think the Bodhisattva develops courage. And here we are talking about the Mahayana path. Okay? Mahayana path is the Bodhisattvayana path. Bodhisattva means, courageous ones. Bodhisattva chupsem pa, power, pa is like Vira, courageous ones, the warrior attitude comes from coming from this immeasurable, all sentient beings, not just one or two. Everyone, people you know, you don't know, strangers, insects, people of the past, beings of the past, beings of the present, beings from the future, all of that. So generating the that, how should I put it? Vast attitude. Okay, so maybe just 1 or 2 questions. Just two questions, and then we can stop here.
We have some questions accumulated since the break earlier. Is there karma at a collective level, group, family, nation, and how does one revert it?
Yes, some parts are group karma. Therefore, we have group phenomena. It does not mean that all karma, But a powerful karma, powerful consequences, karmic consequences can also avert, change, manipulate the whole group karma. That is possible in bad way and good way both. Even with this reason, it is believed that, let's say, if you are in this city and you are the only one who actually generate the bodhicitta just for 5 minutes and meditate on bodhicitta, embracing all the beings in this city, because the bodhicitta is based on the truth. Therefore, the condition of the bodhicitta is so powerful. It's not like other karma. It's very, very powerful. When the condition is closer to the truth, it becomes more powerful, basically. So this is why Bodhisattva aspirations are considered very, very important, especially for beginners Bodhisattva. So yes, group karma is definitely, group karma is powerful. I mean, look what happened. Trump. This is the group karma that we all have. And individually, some are having, the Trump is there because of individual different karma. For instance, I'm sure some comedians are having a field day. Now, at last, there's somebody to talk about. You understand? And we actually don't know whether it's good or bad. You understand? So it's very difficult to sort of say these things. Just a few years ago, George Bush happened to be they said this is the most stupid being. But apparently not. You understand? So we don't know these things. So maybe we are lucky to have Mr. Trump. Who knows? This is also, if there's any American friends here, to tease them a little bit. Okay, just one more question and then we end it here. Okay? Wait. Oh, you want to ask? Okay.
Yes. Rinpoche, I have a question about establishing this grand view.
Oh, you are here?
Yes.
Okay.
I find it easier to reflect on the illusory nature of phenomena, of seeing things as a projection, but then I find it difficult personally to be able to, my reaction is more like seeing things like Trump. I find myself, these are despicable illusions, and something, I find it difficult to generate the bodhicitta from that. I feel like I need to work on myself first. I need to get out of this, dungeon or whatever. So it's more of I think in some ways I'm stuck in the Shravaka level of motivation and find it difficult to go beyond that and to feel something, to feel, to generate the compassion. Yes.
To him or?
Well, just anything that I perceive as ignorant. It's very hard to really generate the compassion for that.
Yes, I understand. I'm sure, especially if you happen to be the citizen of this. Yes. But actually, don't you think that he has done certain things that really told us that what we like the wall. You know what I'm talking about? The wall.
What do you mean?
You know the wall he wants to build?
Yes.
That is like just so amazing that I don't know whether he even believes himself. But the thing is that, so many people believes in, it's almost like, even though both the listener and the one who lies, knows that it's a lie, somehow the karmic consequences is so strong, you just like this liar. What a amazing, phenomena. I mean, this is a good reason to really have compassion towards all ignorant beings. Don't you think? I think so. That's like, wow. That's like shocking, isn't it? That is very shocking. But what to do? But I think something good will come out of this. Okay. Okay, we'll just stop here today. I'm sure everybody's exhausted listening to this. So, okay.